Hey folks, and welcome to this video in the Rhapsody Power Pack series. I'm Andy Lapping, and in this video I'll show you how to configure the model element editor that we used in the last video. To provide a configuration for the model element editor, we create a map that defines the layout of the editor for all of the different model element types we want to edit with it. But before we start, the editor works with tags on any model element without the need for a map. For example, in this profile, we have a contract stereotype, a new term based on class, and it has two tags. Now this model doesn't have a map yet, but if I launch the editor on a contract, I can still edit its tags. By default, they appear on a tab called Other. Now that's configurable up here in the project properties. If you want those tags grouped on specific pages in the editor, or if you want anything other than a tag, then you need a map. So let's go ahead and build one. To start with, we need an editor configuration package. Now that will hold all of our mapping elements. This is something you typically do as part of a profile. The easiest way to get started is to use an editor diagram. Now the root element for our map is this one, an editor configuration map. And the first thing we need to do is decide where the map will be generated. Now you can generate it to the project or to a project level stereotype, but the best place is to generate it directly to the profile that has the new term elements you're configuring. That allows the model element editor to load multiple maps by loading in multiple profiles. Let's drag our phones and contracts profile onto the diagram, and then we'll add a generate map to dependency to connect it to our map. Now we need an editor configuration. That defines the layout and the content of the editor for a specific model element type. Now a map will typically have many of these, one per model element type. Let's add one to configure the editor for contracts. To add it to our map, we use a hasEditor configuration dependency. Now let's drag the contract stereotype from our profile onto the diagram, and we'll connect it using a model element type dependency. This indicates that this configuration is the editor design for a contract. Now we can start populating the configuration, and there are many ways to do that depending on how you want your editor laid out and what the content should be. Let's start simply by dragging one of the tags of that contract stereotype onto the diagram. And we'll connect it to our configuration using a hasElement dependency. That's enough for now. Let's now generate the map content. I'll right-click the map and select Power Pack, Model Element Editor, Apply Map. That generates the map content onto the profile. If I look at its overridden properties, there is that map content in XML format. It's that content that the model element editor reads when it's launched. So let's now launch the editor on our contract. Note that free feature, that tag we added to the root configuration, appears on the main panel. The other tag, which we didn't configure, still appears on the other tab. Let's change that. Let's change the project properties so that unmapped tags don't show up at all. Now if I launch that editor again, I only have free feature. Now let's add some editor pages. Let's have one called Simple, and we'll have another one called Advanced. Now of course you can name the pages whatever you like. Each page becomes a tab in the editor. Let's now move the free feature tag so it appears on the Simple page. I'll also drag on the additional features tag and add that to the advanced page. And lastly, I'll add both pages to the configuration using hasEditor page dependencies. Now the order of any of these dependencies in the model browser dictates the order that the elements appear in the editor. Now let's regenerate the map content again using the map at the top of the diagram. This time I get a warning because there is existing map content. I'll select Don't Ask Again and click Yes to replace that existing content. Now let's launch the editor again. And there we have 2 pages, simple and advanced. Let's do one more thing. Let's add a dependency. Now you may recall from the last video that works in country is a stereotype based on dependencies. One very important point is that stereotype must have a targets property so that the editor can correctly configure its pickers. Let's drag that onto the diagram and we'll add it to the advanced page. Once again, we'll generate the map. This time we get no warning because we switched that off. And then we can now launch our editor. On the Advanced tab, we have Works in Country. Now at the moment, we can only have one. But let's change that. Let's add some multiplicity. In the Features view for the Has element dependency, here on the Tags tab, we have a multiplicity tag. There we can specify a fixed number, a range, or even star. Let's set this to 3. Now that will act as an upper limit for the number of works in country dependencies a contract is allowed. Once again, I'll generate the map content using the map element at the top, and then I can launch the editor. And now Works in Country has a multiplicity of 3. Now those are the basics of configuring the model element editor. You can see it's very, very quick, very, very simple to do. And there's lots more we can do with that. It's all documented in the Power Pack help. But that's it for this video. Over the course of the series, we'll explore the rest of the Rhapsody Power Pack features that will greatly improve your Rhapsody user experience. So please do subscribe if you want to be notified as those videos get published. But for now, thanks for watching. Hey folks,